that you can see and say this is evident for somebody to live in. These are the issues that President Roosevelt spoke to the then Prime Minister of Britain. And he said, as the President of the United States of America, he will ensure that he advocate, and it will be his responsibility in ensuring that the United Nations, the then League of Nations, they form the United Nations, and when it is established, the primary occupation of the United Nations should be to pressurize Britain, the United Kingdom at the time, to abandon their colonies, because they have neglected their colonies, they have looted the resources of their colonies, and they failed to develop their colonies. Now, what one needs to understand is, 1943, that's 71 years to today. The British government were in Banjul for more than 375 years in 1943. And for 375 years, even a president of America can come and ask you to stop the bad governance, the inhuman treatment, the disrespect and disregard for the people of your colony. Is a word of commendation for the then American president. And it's a word for all of us to read and understand and know that the British who were here for 400 years, they could not give us a single hospital. They could not give us a television. They could not give us university. They could not give us schools for education. They could not give us road. They could not give us water. They could not give us electricity. Now, if you want to rely on them in the name of Commonwealth, and you think they will use the resources they looted in Africa and to develop you, to help develop your country, you are making a big joke. You are making a mistake. And this is what the President Jammeh is saying. And he's telling African leaders and Gambian for us to know the British is not interested in the development of the Gambia, in the development of Africa, and what they are only interested is to loot African and to divide us and to bring war and starvation in this continent. Therefore, as a result, President Jammeh said, what is the rationale behind us to maintain the membership of the Commonwealth? Knowing fully well that they were here for 400 years and they could not develop this country. They don't wish us well. They don't want us to prosper. They don't want our children to be educated. They don't want us to live like the way we live. Today, what is worth of noting in battles 1943 and battles 2014 is that today, His Excellency, the President of the Republic, every corner in battles in Banjul, he has built primary schools, senior secondary schools, high schools, and he has built University of the Gambia. You go to the Royal Victoria Teaching Hospital, President Jammeh has transformed the hospital to a teaching school, a university, where Gambian citizens, our own sons and daughters, are taught to the highest degree of medicines in this country. President Jammeh has built ultra-modern roads in Banjul. President Jammeh has put an overhaul to the entire road and water and the sewage and canal conditions of Banjul. President Jammeh has brought 24 hours affordable, reliable, and constant electricity supply to every house, every room in the capital city of Banjul. President Jammeh has brought infrastructure. He has built one of the best House of Parliament in the world in Banjul. President Jammeh has built one of the best institutions in Banjul today. Now, can you compare 20 years of His Excellency the President ruled in the Gambia and his uncaring effort in ensuring that the welfare of Banjulians are adhered to the 400 years of British misrules, decadent, neglect, and above all, insult to the people of the Gambia. Now I want to turn to page 17. Page 17 of the same book. In a scattering critique of Gambia's colonial and critics of the Gambian colonial administration in the Daily Express 2 months before World War II began, the journalist Molly Richards summed up the plight of the Gambians. I quote, "I question whether they have escaped from their slavery. They are taxed directly and indirectly out of proportions to their miserable cost of living. They pay heavy duties on staple foods, rice and sugar. They even pay an export duty of 10 shillings a ton on the groundnuts they send out of the country. Almost their only earning source. They are in bondage. These black Britons in debt from the cradle to the grave. In order to pay salaries to white Britons who administer where little administration is required, but do not develop when development is most urgently needed. Page 18 still. Batos sanitation was another problem that perplexed colonial officials, all the more as the population grew. A professor of the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine linked Batos in 1937 to a waterlogged sponge floating in a sea of its own excreta, and no one seemed able to wring out the sponge or cleanse the sea. The diseases that resulted from this combination of problems made Batos in 1943 one of the unhealthiest cities on earth. Most Gambians had malaria, but according to British medical reports, respiratory diseases took the heaviest toll. Yaws was moderately plentiful, with 1 in 4 residents of most villages showing obvious indications, open sore of late yaws. Intense intestinal worms and infections were nearly universal. 20% of Gambians had trachoma. Blindness was merely common, and syphilis and gonorrhea were almost epidemic in parts of Batos.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable CD Njai. And now, Mbeminkela Drong, Wolom Saimbe, Honorable Babu Gay Sonko le Kumandilanang.
CD Bukobe Ban. Otumo Uncle de Costala Kachakono, Mkamwe Manukuma Kafaiko, Uncle Tojatinga Yaki. By Tolofana Kafaleko, President Jame Tojatinga Yaki. Well, President Jame Kulote, like Kulujumate, well, Tonya Kuloti, Kai Fene, Mobe along Munebe Kering. Bao Nyimbuko, Nia Korosi, Kafene Lonje, Kafene Moje, Kafene Jeje, Tonya, Jama Balalondo Manfutanunje. Lumbao Kafole, Alakamos, Karafakusa Balla. O Kusabo, Nia Tamandi Nyama, Ateleka Dunya Molbe Nafati, Fojian Dunya Bekilla. But Nima Tamandi Nya Fana Nyama, I say Hanamadingol Toranole. Walang follow ila Londo, ila Nafulo, ila Palazzo. Dum President Jammeh benga lonko ale Palazzo mundial wala President ya Palazzo ti aya mafa Gambia koli la ni Afrika bi ani dunya bi bawa kala Palazzo tamani tonyole kan amala fi moy boy mo kan koku ni ba kliya sabadi ni tonya kan ala Londo aka bondi le pour ka mo be nafa bawa ka kumol mum be fo hanni yala ka talla moy amma abika fo Gambia da mala nafa kama aka fo Afrika la nafa kama le aka fo dunya la nafa kama dungala kumol ni bulata no mafana ikana fa tonne sotoje woto ala Londo aba tamani kukanne ala nafulo munke dala sototi hanni momo fo moy jamoti jang mum me buna fam President Jammeh sotola woto soto dam woleti ni soto kamol makoy ima dandi fan kunkino le ko ngamun soto ni mole de ngal makoy woto nafal dimmo ala wo place sabol kono ke mun keta ala ya karafa Londo munna ko aya janjandi ba ni mol be de ngala ka fo na tale pour ka nyom makoy nga kilimba ya ni la banko ngela banko bunya nyami yena banko bunya wonyam ngela fate fay koyla muyti ban fo fine ngela fate bunya nyami yena fate bu woto kilimba ya ni ten kanyam kuto tek wala nyanta tan la wo ka fo nyinto wol kono ay example jamadi bawo dunya fitno be bankol mun ka United Nation la nyantolam ka je ko ka fitno fawo bankol kan bayina ma fitno fala wala fitno fenga fense fitno sabuna wo bankol kan nim ferol belari mun ci wol bondino wo mu dunya be ka folo nyantole ko fitno landi ako fitno dal to fala ay kana moy ka foko kariñol le chemical weapon use kariñol fata nyadil ako ni to nyabe tamala nyanta tankandiro le kala fitnol kana so ton tol man la fi kalo mo fata nyadile banna ngani yoni na la finna ko mun wala ndiko fitna kana ke promo se fa fitno muntu woto ay come for prevention before cure wala is better than cure wala ye fan tankandi ina man e jara ni fitno man so woto fitno kono mote fala ji woto United Nation la nyantolam nyindi ka ferol la ni mu yadna fitnol te sotla bankol kan don nimbo fana kala bankol kane la symbol ni la mirol ni la warol jube ya jube ko sidla banko kan ndela wata ba fenne be sidla banko kan tebe la fin fama mun namma soto mbe fitno la kurkur la sidla banko kan mun san nante bulo se sino wo femola wo manke kuti mu yalon ko wala nyanta kala banku nyaton ko le miroti